How's it going, guys? So today we're going to be talking about cleaning your 22 rifle. In specific, this is a Ruger 1022. Most of you are probably used to seeing it look more something like this, and for reasons I have decided to upgrade it to more of a precision build. This is a Magpul Hunter 1022 stock. You got a Tactical Solutions X-Ring threaded barrel right there. I've got a Vortex cantilever mount and a Vortex Crossfire 2-7x32. This optic is actually meant for rimfire. A long time ago, I was actually told that rimfire needs a specific scope because due to how the recoil acts, it can actually crack your scope lenses. Let's flip it over to this side. We have the Volquartsen receiver, trigger group, bolt, and bolt extension handle. That's for precision shooting. It's got a 2.5 pound trigger. I can actually show that to you guys right here. So actually, let me get my hand on the other side. So here's the trigger pull, reset. Now, we got the Magpul bipod on it. That's just simple. I am going to be adding a sling to it pretty soon, just because trekking through the woods, hunting squirrels, it's a pain in the butt to not have a sling. It's really helpful. Keep it close to your body, take some weight off of holding it in your hands. So yeah, we're gonna get right into the cleaning of this gun. All right. Here, let me get this in focus. All right, here's the trigger pull. Let's get the reset. Come on, focus. Get a reset and pull. Now, one thing to know about rimfire cartridge is you really don't want to dry fire it that much. It's not good for the firing pin. So yeah, let's get right into cleaning this thing. Alrighty guys, so before we get started, I'm just gonna go over a few things that you're gonna need. You'll need some cotton patches, your choice of cleaning solution, whether it be penetrant, and then you'll also need a really good lubricant. I always go with hops. There are some really cool options out there that I'd like to try, and maybe I'll put a link down in the comments for that. You're gonna need a screwdriver, a torquing screwdriver. This one specifically is in inch pounds. Then you'll need a bit set. I've got Allen keys because I don't actually have a punch set yet. That will be a purchase in the near future. A hammer for the more tough pins. And then you want a brush. This is just a soft bristle brush. Some sort of pick. And then you got your brass brush and a cloth brush. And then finally, you will need some sort of rod that will be going down the barrel and into the action just to clean the barrel itself. Now, we're gonna get right into it. So just a little disclaimer, guys, do not be afraid to use as many of these patches as you need. I actually have a story of my dad back when I was a little bit younger and used to need help cleaning my guns. He always wanted to limit the amount of patches we would use because that's just how he was. But these are super cheap. Do not be afraid to use as much as you need. Get your gun clean. It's better to have a clean gun than a dirty gun, in all seriousness. So, yeah. Alright, so let's get into it. First things first, you're going to need to take this bolt out right here. This is what attaches your stock to your gun itself. I would call this probably the stock bolt. So let's get that taken out. And disclaimer, I think on the old 1022, the original stock and bolt is actually a flathead. So some of these pieces might be different than what is on your 1022. All right, now that we have the bolt out from right here, you can just go ahead and with a little bit of persuasion, and you actually have to get the safety button to kind of level out on each side, which is not too hard. So now your gun is totally apart from the stock. You can go ahead and set the stock off to the side. You are dealing with just your bare bones action. Now what we will do is remove the trigger group from your receiver, and then after that we will take the bolt out, which I'm going to prepare for that right now. I'm going to take my extended bolt handle out. You really don't need to do that on the normal type because it's such a recessed bolt handle. It actually just slides out with your bolt itself. Now, one cool thing about the Ruger 1022 is there really aren't that many parts that you have to take apart. Really, there's just 3 pins that we're going to be working with. You have your backstop pin, which is rubber in this case, and then you have 2 receiver pins, which are right here and right here. And that is what drops your trigger group off from your receiver. So let's get that done real quick. I'm actually going to pull this backstop pin out. Right, like that. Now, having a rubber bolt pin is actually very beneficial for your 1022. What that does is when your bolt is reciprocating towards the rear, it's hitting rubber instead of metal. That will increase the life of your bolt tenfold. They're very nice, super cheap to get. Volquartsen, they do a really great job. Now, let's see if we can get these 2 pins out. Alright, just so you guys can see, I have these 2 pins about halfway out now. Again, and really they just slide out. It barely took any hammering with the hammer. There's your trigger group. This is all one group sold by Volquartsen. Super nice trigger group. And now we can pop the bolt out. So what's going to happen is we're going to have to pull it back and lift up. And then be careful when you're lifting up because it is on a spring. And if you're not careful, that spring will want to shoot right up off and at you. And I really don't expect this to be very dirty. Not only did I just clean the barrel, but this whole receiver and trigger group is new to me. I actually just put it all together not too long ago, so I don't expect the receiver to be very dirty at all. So we're really just working on cleaning the barrel and showing you guys the basics. Alright, y'all, so just a little rundown on the bolt. We are actually going to be taking a look at this extractor right here. So really, your bullet, your casing sits right here next to the extractor. And your firing pin, I'm going to push it from the back. If you guys can see that. Your firing pin is what hits the rim of your cartridge. Your firing pin is right back here. So those are the things we're going to be cleaning and lubing up. So guys, again, with the firing pin right here in your bolt, you're just going to take a brush, kind of get some of the majority of the junk off of it. If any at all. That extractor really likes to get gunked up on the little recessed point where the casing sits. So just make sure that you get in the extractor and really get the gunk out of there. That will help your gun perform a lot better. Other than that, that's really it for the bolt. You're going to want to lube it once you put it back into the receiver. Make sure it slides real nice. That way you have a crisper action of reciprocating when you're shooting. For the next step, we are going to clean our barrel. We're going to run, not a bore snake, but we're going to run a ramrod down the barrel with some cotton pads and some penetrant. And after we get the penetrant in there, we'll wipe it out and then put lubrication in there. So, yeah. Alrighty. Now that your bolt is clean, we can work on the barrel and inside of the action itself. Inside of the receiver itself. Now, to start cleaning the barrel, we're going to start with our brass. Is it brass or copper? One of the two. It's either brass or copper bristles. It looks more like copper to me. So copper bristles, and we're going to set that onto our ramrod. And just go ahead, take a little bit of penetrant, put it in the barrel, and you just ram that sucker in there. Back, pull it all the way out. Whoops. Pull it all the way out. And put it back in, all the way out, back in, all the way out. Now that we've done that, we can take our cloth tip, take the cloth tip onto the ramrod, dip that sucker into our penetrant, let it drip. Then we'll go ahead and run our cloth down the barrel back and forth, making sure to really get any of that gunk that's in there out. And once you're done with that, you can take that, oops, I'm undoing my ramrod. So once you're done, my hands are all greasy. Once you're done with your cloth tip, we can put our bristle back on there, our copper bristle brush, wrap that in a piece of cotton, and just kind of take it around, wrap it nice and tightly so it doesn't come off in your barrel. If that happens, you have a bigger issue. We'll just take a little bit of lubrication. Hops lubrication is pretty much good for anything. It's really high viscosity and pretty much acts as a penetrant as well, but while also lubricating what you're using. So now we'll go ahead and take this setup down into the barrel. Maybe if it wants to go. No, too much. So probably take half a pad just so it's not as thick, and then put that down into the barrel. Alright, now that your barrel's clean, we're going to take a look into our receiver itself. Since this is a brand new receiver and trigger group, I don't expect much to be dirty. Now there are some rails that you can follow Let me grab this pick so I can show you a little bit better. There are some rails that you can follow right along on each edge. And that's where you're going to want a lot of lubrication. That's where your bolt is going to be sliding back and forth. They're a little bit raised from the bottom of the receiver. See, there's a little lip right here on this rail. And same thing on the other side. Now, what you're really looking to do is clean everything out. And then if we take a look more towards the front side, we have the slot for the extractor. Let me see if I can get this to focus. The slot for the extractor is right here, right next to the hole and from your bolt handle is the slot where the extractor sits. And you really want to clean that out really well so your extractor sits properly and can seat onto the casing of your 22 bullet, or 22 casing, I guess. So clean out everything really well and make sure there's no gunk buildup on the outside of your barrel. Alright guys, so now that everything is clean, we're going to get back to putting everything together. Now mind you, this is a entire Volquartsen setup, so it's going to be a little different from your regular 1022, but the basics are really still the same. So we have our rod and our spring, and what we're going to do is bring that spring down onto the rod and hold it back as far as you can. Let me clean my hands real quick because they are all lubricated up, which isn't a bad thing. Now, bring that spring down onto your handle. Now, on the bolt itself, there's a little hole up front. This is the top of your bolt. It's what sits towards the top of your gun. That's going to go right onto your spring. Whoops. Alright, now that we have our rod and spring in through the bolt, we're going to flip our gun upside down. And hang on, before I do that, let me show you. There is a little backstop right here. And that's where the back of your rod is going to go against, right back here. Focus. Focus. Right here. That guy is going to sit right up against that backstop. Now, mind you, this is a pretty tricky process, especially with the Volquartsen spring that they have. It is a really strong spring, but that's nice when you're shooting because you don't have to worry about failure to feed malfunctions. So we're going to flip our gun upside down, make sure that the bolt has the rod and spring already on it. And then my little tip is to try to pinch this spring and rod against the bolt. Oh, it fell out. So let's get it up against our backstop on the inside of the receiver. And then we will try to put it all. There we go, that's pretty easy to do. So put your rod and spring against the backstop on the inside of your receiver first, and then put it into that hole of the receiver. That was pretty easy. Once you get it into the slot in the back, you're going to have to push it down, and then it's going to want to ram forward right away. Make sure you don't let it ram forward. That's just like sending it against that metal pin in the back. That's why Volquartsen makes it a rubber pin in the back. You're sending your bolt clear against metal if you just let it fly forward. Alright, from here, now that we have our bolt in, I always like to add a little bit of lube right onto those rails and then onto the bottom of your bolt. And what I'll do real quick is put in my bolt handle, and you can just sit there and work it back and forth for a little bit. Really get that lubricant in there and make sure your extractor is lining up properly and is nice and clean. So our bolt is in, everything's nice and clean and lubed up. We can start putting the gun totally back together. Our trigger group will go in, and if I can show you guys real quick, the gun is now cocked, so you want to be careful. I have it on safety, that's off of safety now. If your gun is cocked, and in the normal 10/22 it'll look just the same, you got to make sure that you press up against the hammer and slowly let it forward, because if you don't, this spring will pop up and out of here, which I can show you guys that. There's a spring on a little metal rod that hooks up into it. I can show you real quick. This spring and rod that hooks onto here can fly up. So make sure, if it's back like this and you're cleaning it, make sure you pull it. See, there it is. It wanted to come out right there. So all you got to do is find a little groove in the bottom where this guy sits, and then you just put it right back into place. It's like a little groove on the back side, and you just put it down in there. So let me do that on camera while I'm here. And then just go ahead. And you can kind of use the hammer itself to push it back into place. And then just test it. Make sure you have it back in the right position. I almost just lost it right there. So yeah, now that it's cocked, put it on the safety. We're gonna slide our trigger group right back up into its spot. Here's our pins. You can get one pin in, and these pins slide super easy. They make new pins that have stops on them, little bolt stops. And then our bolt stop pin, rubber pin, will slide right back. So when that bolt is reciprocating every time you take a shot, it's hitting that nice rubber, and it's not going to destroy your bolt. Now, this is why the trigger group pins, the upgraded trigger group pins I should say, would be very nice, because these guys love to fall out on their own. Now that everything is back together, we're going to go ahead, pull that trigger. Boom. Now you're going to safe to put your stock back on. Not to mention, should have been safe from the beginning. Needless to say, I cleared it. We're all about safety here. So now, with the Magpul Hunter stock, it's a little bit of a process to get it back in its home. You just kind of have to press it up against the back first. And let me see if I can do this. Yeah, press it up against the back first, and then you want to rock it down into place. Make sure that your safety is riding in the middle so it can actually fit back down into the group. And then just kind of click everything back into place. So now our receiver is back onto our stock, and we can put our stock bolt back into its home. All right, so our stock bolt is back in, and it is torqued to the correct spec. Make sure that you check in your owner's manual what the torque is for that. For the Volquartsen bolt, stock bolt, it's a little bit different. Make sure you check in the original owner's manual what that torque is. It should be in inch-pounds. If it shows in foot-pounds, you can always do a conversion online. But other than that, that's about it, guys. You now have a newly cleaned Ruger 1022. Specifically, this is the Volquartsen Action itself. Nothing, there really aren't any huge changes. You should be perfectly fine to go in to the old 22 and get her done yourself. Kobe, you know who you are. This gun is all yours whenever you're ready to buy it, man. This guy. So that's it, guys. I hope you learned something new. If you have any questions about parts, the scope, anything, let me know. This gun is really awesome. Got a suppressor coming for it. Currently in jail. Thank you, ATF. That's it. Any questions? Drop a comment. Until next time. Alright, y'all, this has been Blue Collar Tactical. I am the High Voltage Patriot. If you guys have any questions about my build or the old Granddad's 1022, don't be afraid to drop a comment. Make sure to leave a like. Look out for the next video. Until next time, see ya.